Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
And now let's welcome Alex from Canada, who'll be delivering today's teaching. I don't know what you have in store for us, Alex, but it usually is very provocative and gets us to think quite a bit. And this is what we're learning about our world, our universe, our own creation. And we welcome you with a loud round of applause from our souls. Hopefully you feel it through your emotions and so on and so forth. We're not actually physically clapping, but we're sending you fields of elevation. So thank you very much for being here today with us, and continue to share the knowledge. Are we almost there yet?
Audio, video, how are we doing?
Oh, we see your screen and your audio's perfect.
And thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. This is another beautiful Sunday afternoon in North America. And as this is the KAKT American Knowledge Team, we know that our strength is actually comes from all the knowledge seekers around the world who are supporting us in this endeavor. So the strength of this team is greater than the strength of this team on its face value. It's one of the reasons this meeting is such a success all the time. And so I'd like to get right into it. And this is the KAKT Foundation Spaceship Institute Teachings on Plasma Science. We're discussing basic outer space, and today's topic is Dreamscape. My name is Alexander. I am from Canada. It is October 9th, 2020. This is the KAKT Foundation North America Plasma Education Series. As we've seen that October 14th, 2020, we started with this basic teaching. And so we've come to almost 2 years now. And fortunately, we've been able to make some kind of organization out of this. And there's been a progression. And as we've done this progression, we've tried to add different perspectives and get a different viewpoint. Some of the basic viewpoints had to be made to get to a certain point. But now we've discovered new things, and they require new understandings. And dreaming is something we all like to do, and dreaming is something we all do every day. And it's really, it's stunning that we know so little about it, because there are a lot of studies about it. But fundamentally, there is a lack of explanation, because one of the things that we see is that our tiny red perfect universe here in the bottom right hand corner, that's our tiny perfect world. And when we compare that to the rest of the universe, and that's just in this picture, we can clearly see how insignificant it is. And so when we wonder about is what do we dream about when we do our dreaming? And because there's a couple of things. Number one, a lot of us cannot remember our dreams. Or number two, if we remember our dreams, we're trying to find some kind of context. And the thing about remembering the dreams is you have to have a place. So if you don't have a place, then it's hard to remember your dream. And if you don't have a place, then the question becomes, were you there in the first place? You know, if you weren't aware that you were there, does that mean that you weren't there? Or is there something that is missing from our understanding? Because when we look at this dream business, we see that, you know, what do we dream about when we dream? And can you dictate what you dream? So what do you do in the process of dreaming? And so we find that you know, we have a lot of explanations about energy traveling through the universe in the three books: The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, The Origin of the Universe, and then the link, the structure of the light. And so we've been talking a lot about the structure of light because we find that because of the structure of light and the way it is, our tiny perfect universe is this little tiny red dot. That's our little piece of pie in the sky. And so on this particular journey, which I'm glad that you're joining me on, is we're searching for outer space because we haven't found outer space. This seems to be some kind of figment of someone's imagination. And, you know, I mean, that's all right, but, you know, let's look for it. Let's see if we can find out where this outer space is. And so because it seems to exist, but it doesn't have a substantial existence. So this dream business seems to be like just another kind of hokey pie in the sky, except for the problem being that it's we all do it. So it's not a matter of not recognizing that we do it. It's a matter of not being able to explain how we do it and what it means. And it's kind of strange, isn't it? Considering the fact that we do this every day. So, you know, we are all satellites on this piece of pie in the sky. But, you know, through our dream state, we can become spaceships. And we do this as dream satellites. And the thing about it is that when we wake up in the morning, we want to come back to this sentimental pie in the sky, which we call Earth. And so this is our place. And we know it's our place is because we created boundaries. And so to find out where exactly this place is, we have to identify what this place is not. And so it's not Venus and it's not Mars. So this is Earth. But this is Earth within the sun space. It's just another planet space, part of sun space. And we come back every morning into our body. And, you know, that there was a humorous thought as to what would happen if you came back into another person's body. Wow, gee whiz. I think there would be a commotion. Let's call it a commotion. But, you know, so as we're trying to understand our place in space, we have to understand that it's our space, man's space, that is really the primary reference point, right? Because even though we are on Earth space, It's us. It's man space on Earth space. So we are of the understanding that we can take man space to another space. It still becomes man space. So therefore, this allows us to move. How far do we move? How do we move? And what is it that we do every night? So what we have to look at is the relationship between what we have in our sleep state. We have the soul of the body and the soul of the man. And to better understand those two, let's look at the fundamental principle of the twinity, where we have the rotating field of the electron and the rotating field of the proton. And the combination of these two is what we call an atom. So there's a relationship, and I've stressed this relationship all the time. And now we have a problem where we have relationships without any reference. How can you have a reference without a reference point? So when we look at the atom and being of its gravitational nature, because it's an electron-proton combination, but in terms of a magnetical ray, it is ready to travel. So it can travel or it cannot travel. And what is the determining factor? And the more we try and figure this thing out, the worse it gets, because you can understand this in the study, but when you go to sleep at night, are you going to be able to translate what you just studied into the dream reality? So one thing we find out is that in terms of our release point of energy, the release of PM ticks comes from the nuclear decay of the neutron into the electron-proton combination. So we have actually different platforms here. We have the neutron, we have the atom, and we have the PM tick. And then there's a process that's all part of this. So it's easy for us to identify reference points when we look at ray creation. And that is shared through emission. And it is also shared through absorption. So the key point here is that all of this is done at light speed. And now we're questioning what speed? What speed? Because everything that we're referencing, well, the reference on Earth is Earth reference. And Earth reference is physical. So we have to understand that there's a plasmatic reference and there's a physical reference, and that one supports the other. So the plasmatic spectrum is of a higher energy state, and the physical spectrum is of a lower energy state. And so there is this unseen bond in between we call the covalent bond. And it is not only between the two states, this covalent bond is prevalent in a lot of places, and it's dynamic, and it's moving all the time. So interestingly enough, when we identify these energy feeding packs, we find that they're coming from all over the universe. And they come basically at a phenomenal speed. And these energy packs are traveling beyond the speed of light. It is only until they come to a reference point where they can manifest from a plasmatic reality into a physical reality, in other words, slowing down their field strength, then now we can see the physicality as a result of it. But this energy feeding is everywhere, always, all over the universe. And so we come to realize that when we look at the basic rules and we say that the higher strength feeds the weaker strength, okay, so what that means is that there's basic magnetical attraction and repulsion, which we call gravitational or magnetical energy forces. And maybe we can understand better that the magnetical is a feeding and the gravitational is a feedback. And you have to have this feedback, because otherwise you'd keep eating and eating and eating, and you never stop eating. So there has to be some kind of signal back and forth. And so this is our reference to the creation of the universe. The universe actually exists from energy. And energy is always positive. So the charge on the energy is the energy in motion. And it is always in motion. And all things are all working in combination. And so now this becomes a problem when we look at the reference points. And if we say, well, you know, one of our most important reference points is the sun. So we are part of the sun space. Another very important reference point we found was the atom. And then there are other reference points like Earth. Earth is a reference point. The moon's a reference point. So is Mars. And by the way, so is your neighbor. So all of these reference points are working together. And we have to figure out how to take these things into account. So based on our current education and our knowledge and our practice, we just don't have enough skills to discern this. So we just have to be aware that these reference points are there, because all things working in combination, so the energy flow is a two-way street. So if we can't see the other flow, we have to know that it's there. So this gets us back to the dreamscape thing. What happens now if I dream and I go somewhere and I have no reference point? Did I actually go there? How do I know I went there? Or how do I know that I didn't go there? So, you know, I'm sorry I'm asking too many questions, but this is the thing. We have to get these answers answered, because this is something that's all part of our daily life. The one thing that is fairly common about this whole subject, the way it is right now, is that when you go to sleep at night, you don't go sleeping with a rocket. And when you go dreaming, you don't go on that rocket. And of course, when you come back, you don't come back with a rocket. So there is something quite natural about dreaming. And there's something totally unnecessary with respect to rockets. So, because if it was necessary, then I think we would do that. And funny enough, you know, when we go to sleep and when we dream, we are kind of doing the same thing as when we were being born. And the point being is that we are not getting enough energy to feed our physicality. So by stopping the drain of energy on our physicality, that is to go to sleep, it liberates our souls to go traveling. And in the process of traveling, the body is still being fed. And so we can increase the feeding to the body. We can turn it on, we can turn it off. or we can change the strength by increasing it or decreasing it. But then another interesting thing is we can change this positioning by either enhancing or diminishing. So in other words, do you have to announce your position? Or is that something that is just natural and is part of the welcoming process? So what do I mean by that? See, the thing is, in the universal community, they accept you for who you are. So this becomes a real dilemma for men because we cannot hide who we are. We cannot hide the truth. The truth is plainly visible. So we run into a couple of concerns here, and so let's explore this. First of all, in terms of our physicality, we have the brain and we have the body, and then we also have the emotion with respect to the brain and the body. And so this emotion is a field strength, and this emotion is a reference point to the physical field strength of the brain and the physical field strength of the body. So these three work together. And then the question becomes, if when we go to sleep, does the soul of the body leave the body? Or does the soul of the man leave the body? Or both? And where is the field strength for that emotion coming from? And who is dictating that? So that kind of becomes a very random question, but it's not really. Because what we see is that there are different field strengths of energies, and we've created them in the cups of life, and this becomes very, very important because the first thing is first, is that each and every one of us need to have the ability to be the last man standing. In other words, when we create the one cup, that we can create a magnetical gravitational field interaction. And then with that, we can create an emotional Gans. And the thing when we look at this Gans, we find that it has a soul. It has a hole in the Gans. And so there's a soul in the hole. Now the question that we've never asked, what soul is it? Is it the soul of the physicality of the Gans? Or is it the soul of the, how shall I describe it, the soul of the Gans? This becomes a very difficult question because when we start to look at everything from animate to inanimate objects, rocks, let's say, if rocks have a soul, which soul is it? If cells have a soul, which soul is it? So now we have a situation where if the body has a soul, then the question is, which soul is it? And then when we go dreaming, which soul do we ride? So the creation of the Ganses, which is coming from the plasma universe. And so we see like CO2 Gans, calcium Gans, zinc Gans, copper Gans, water Gans, and amino acid Gans. So all of these Ganses are possible and just in the cup of life. But you know, we have a periodic table of elements, and every single element on that periodic table can have a GANS. And so we differentiate from the first cup to the second cup by just introducing a copper plate. And that creates what we call the physical cup. And so the GANS in the emotional cup is different from the GANS in the physical cup. And so there's a soul in there, isn't it? And which soul is it? And then when we look at the cup of inertia, what is that? That's the interaction with our environment. Oh, well, our point of view is our space, man space. Well, yeah, but during the day, it's on Earth, and at night, you park your body in someplace safe. And so I found that to be the secret to being able to go to sleep quickly. And that is make sure that you're in a safe place. And make sure that you yourself are happy in that place. So that place is on Earth. And so you are still engaging with the Earth. You're not leaving the Earth. There's a reference point to the Earth. And the interaction with that Earth is the cup of inertia. So we find that all these 5 cups, they work together, and each one has a magnetical gravitational field force and a soul. And then collectively, the 5 cups together have a magnetical gravitational field force and a soul. Now the question comes, which soul? Which soul? When we look at the 3 cups, the cup of soul, the cup of emotion, the cup of physicality, which soul? If it's the cup of emotion and the cup of physicality, then wouldn't the cup of soul be the soul of the body? And if that is the soul of the body, then where is the soul of man? So could it be that the soul of the man is this soul that's in the middle of these 3 cups and is therefore also present? And so we see how all of these contribute to our feeding. The thing is that they're drawing energy, converging energy into our physicality, and that energy is supplied by the universe without question, without conditions, except that there's no battery to store it. So we can look to the future for a different way of feeding our nations. And this is becoming very, very important in today's era. But the earth needs a feeding as well. And so I want to compare, you know, our man space to our earth space and say, well, okay, we have the soul of the body and the soul of the man. And then what about the earth? So we find that the earth is taking energy in and more in, and is doing this through absorption and attracting energy. But at the same time, it is emitting out and emitting more out, and it does this through repulsion. So this is how you maintain the Magrav condition of the earth. Well, when we go into a dream state, are we anywhere in these fields? Or do we actually completely leave these fields and go somewhere else? So if we were to forget the physical structure of the planet and look at the dynamic plasmatic structure of man's manifestation, our man space within our man space field, and we find that we radiate And this energy that we radiate is actually a feeding radiance. And then that radiance also gets absorbed. And so that becomes a feedback radiance. The thing is that there's a motion from the feeding radiance to the feedback radiance. And there doesn't seem to be an accounting for the energy traveling along this path. It just, it's like a dream. It just happens. So the thing is that within our soul spectrum, we have a field force, and that becomes our physical manifestation. But outside our physical spectrum, we have a plasmatic manifestation. And so from there, we have this radiance that is transcending the dynamic plasma boundary. And then that becomes the key point, this boundary that we create. Well, this boundary that we create has to take into account more than just the physical. There is this plasmatic. And how can we account for this plasmatic if we can't have a reference to it? In other words, when you have two plasmas and they're interacting, there is no accounting as to the distance, and there's no accounting as to the field strength. But what there is a common denominator. And so when we find this common denominator, then there's an interaction. And this interaction we have found is instantaneous. And it is instantaneous because it's traveling with these PM ticks. So we have this dynamic plasma. And from that dynamic plasma, we emit these PM ticks to another dynamic plasma. And that dynamic plasma absorbs these PM ticks. And it does this instantaneously. And there's no counting here for distance. We're not saying how close or how far this is. And now we want to travel. And so we're doing this the same thing. We are creating our own dynamic plasma within a space enhancement unit. And so we're learning how to be able to achieve this with respect to our physicality. Because when we go to sleep at night, we park our physicality and we go traveling. And so the thing is that when we're talking about instantaneous travel, what that means is from a physical launch point to a physical landing point, we have zero time travel. But we're doing the same thing when we go to sleep. We're doing the same thing when we dream. And did you ever have to suddenly wake up and then you find that in the process of waking up, you are kind of falling? And really, the reason that is a problem is because you are coming back at such a rate, and so you have, in the process of traveling, you have woken up, and so you're actually experiencing the travel phenomena, and it's quite something. I'm sure you've all, if you think about it, some point in your life, you wake up in the morning and says, "Oh, I'm falling," and then you say, "Well, how can you fall into bed?" And then to make matters worse, you maybe roll right out of bed and fall on the floor, and so you're really falling. But the thing is that this is done at a very rapid pace. And if you don't have an opportunity to remember, then you don't have a reference point. So the art of memory is a physicality. And so the one that's responsible for the memory is the soul of the body. And so we try and remember that. So the soul of the body has to be present. So now, when we look at how we travel and how we want to travel, and let's say we want to go to Mars, and we're looking at it from the point of view of the sun, and so actually we're beyond the sun, and we're looking at, first thing we see beyond the sun, well, we see the Earth, and then we see the little men on Earth, then we see the moon, and then we see the Mars, and see all of these have fields, and all of these have spaces, and they're all part and parcel of the same space. So they're overlapping in space, and how they coexist is by having different field strengths. So they maintain their integrity without, shall we say, distorting the picture. You just have to take it into account. But what we discussed is Mars space, Earth space, man space. And then in this process, we still haven't found any proof of outer space. So as we've increased our search and looked at, sun space and different planet spaces and moon space, and then there's these spaces in between, these are all seem to be very physical. And I ask you, do you recall traveling through these spaces in your dreams? And generally speaking, the dreams that we encounter are kind of weird to us. There are some people who, like to interpret dreams for you as if they know what they're doing. But the thing is, it's your dream, it's your experience, and there's a significance for you. So then the question becomes, if these are all the things that we have a reference for in our tiny little perfect world, and our tiny perfect world includes this sun space, so everything there we talked about is really only near space. We still have this vast far space, and we haven't even begun to talk about that, right? When we talk about traveling into outer space, it would be really nice if we could, see the nearest moon. It would be kind of cool, right? See your immediate neighbor. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? What you guys doing there? But look at the vastness of the rest of the universe. And is that where we go when we dream? So in other words, my point is this. If we are dreaming of things, right? We are dreaming of things that we can make a reference to. It's possible that we're just not taking that into account. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So in other words, wherever we go, however far we go, we always have enough fuel to go. And we always have enough fuel for the return trip. And so where is this wherever we are going? So we have two problems. We can't make a reference to where we're going, and we don't know how we got there. But we sure do know that we went. And we can keep asking more questions. So we see that the difference between the soul of the man and the soul of the body is that the soul of the man, that's the essential you. Whereas the soul of the body, that's the surrogate you. That's you interacting with the environment. And so if we leave our environment behind when we go to sleep, then we could liberate the soul of the body. If we were to say that going to sleep liberates the soul of the man, so then the possibility exists that the soul of the man and the soul of the body would be liberated in the sleep state. There's that possibility, right? So when we're looking at the energy coming through the universe, and we see that there's a convergence of energy into a maggrav condition. So our travel and our reference point has to be a maggrav. And then our travel point has to be a maggrav also. And so why are we having this difficulty? So the thing about the plasma rules is that they increase by at least an order of magnitude. So there's a significant change. It isn't just more or a little bit more, it's a lot more, a whole lot more. And so all of this is part of creation. But because we are not able to converge enough energy together, then we become consuming. And so we go through this natural decay. It's part of the physicality. But when we look at things like the sun, the energy transfer is catalytic. The sun shines all the time, and it doesn't get consumed. And so we find that these energy transfers are also higher in a higher state, and they're higher by many orders of magnitude. So then the thing is that we can define each of these plasma fields by what they absorb and what they don't absorb. So in other words, they are a barrier of energies as well. And this becomes important because we have to be able to have the same thing. If you go to sleep at night and then you go for a dream and then you come back in the morning and you're someone else, well, oh my God, what confusion that is. And you know, we have to figure out how come we can come back guaranteed safely. And the reason we can do that is because there's a connection. And this connection is on a plasmatic level. So if this connection is between our souls and our body, then this connection is also between our tiny perfect world and the rest of the universe. In fact, this connection is existence between the near space and the far space. And one of the things that makes things happen is the emotion of presence. And this emotion of presence is present in the soul of the body and in the soul of the man. And is also present in other aspects of it. For instance, the soul of the earth. And then, for instance, the soul of the creator. So just to understand basic plasma, we identify it as either physical or plasmatic. But the thing is that this bonus of being able to create a physical state is a welcome gift. And it's something that is most of us are not cherishing enough. We want to take this gift and destroy it. For what gain? It doesn't make any sense to me. But this is the thing. We have earth, it is physical, and it is in heaven. And we are part of the universe. And the universe is a benevolent place. And we know that because once you are settled in your safe spot and you go to sleep, you can travel. And you can travel, well, you can travel on Earth, or you can travel above Earth, or you can travel like in far space. One of the reasons that we can't make these references is because we don't know what's out there. So the first thing we have to understand is that something's out there. Nothing's from nothing. So we already are well qualified to be able to go to sleep and to dream. We're just not well qualified to explain it. Until now, there's something happening. And that has to do with these relationships. So we can have this cup of soul, cup of emotion, and cup of physicality have a relationship. And we can move that from the cup of the earth and the inertia between that and the earth. In other words, we can take these three cups and move them to another landing point, wherever that is. And at that point, and if you were successful within your dreams at that point, to be able to manifest in the physicality, and in fact, remember, then you would have a reference point and that you would have a memory as to what happened there. And so these are skills that we need to learn. We haven't been learning them. Not to say that there are those who don't know, or I mean, there are those who do know. There certainly are a lot of people very, very knowledgeable. But as we try and figure it out, we find that when we're looking at our man space, we see that there's two souls, two emotions, and two physicalities. And then we just have the one reference to the earth space, that one physicality, and the interaction between that, which we call the inertia. So in that process, there is some kind of motion. And so now the funny thing is because we covered such a great distance, and let's say we traveled into far space, we don't know how we traveled. We don't know the energy source behind it. We know we had enough fuel to go, and we know we had enough fuel to come back. So, okay, but how do we create this motion? And so this becomes another factor that we have to consider. There are unaccounted for factors that we're not taking into account. We discount them as oh, they're not important. Well, they are important. Everything's important. Everyone's important. And so we find on this planet that we create this peace dome. And it is on this peace dome that we find, thanks to double rainbows, we can actually see this area where the peace dome exists. And it travels right around the world, and it travels within the earth. So that becomes the peace dome in the earth space. But is that the only place it is? And so when we find that through our soul sequencing that we continue to discuss, we find that the soul of the sun plus the soul of the earth is what attracts the soul of the man. And once we have the soul of the man, then the soul of the earth attracts the soul of the body. And then when we have the soul of the body, then we interact with the soul of the earth and we can manifest the physicality. So this becomes a sequencing. So what we're seeing is that 1 and 1 is more than 2. And everything that was created in the process of creating something is still there. It isn't consumed. It isn't lost. It is all part of the process. And so we are doing this in our dream state as well. The difference is we are not manifesting the physicality. We are leaving the physicality behind and going on our dream journey. And the thing that's important is that we come back and we come back to the right place. So we have to be able to target this properly. And we need to do this gracefully. And we're successful for the majority of time. So it's the soul of the earth that is affecting this relationship, you see. So when we look at the soul of the earth body, that interacts with the soul of the body. And so then that becomes the physicality of the earth body, which of course becomes the physicality of the body. So in order to have a physicality of the body, it has to be on a physicality of some kind of body. So that would be the physicality of the earth body, the earth space, right? So we then clearly have to take other things into account. That becomes the problem. But we still don't know where outer space is. And so we find that there's a limitation with respect to the speed of light. And then we find that one of the problems with these limitations is because it discounts morality, discounts compassion, discounts courage, and in the end, it discounts creation. This is the ethos of the universe. Life wants to live, and you know that because you go to sleep in peace and you wake up in peace. But in the terms of physicality, the speed of light is visible. So if the light is visible, then that is physical space. If the light is non-visible, then that's non-tangible space. So that becomes the rule. And so when we dream and we liberate our souls, then the actual mechanics of how we do this is now being studied. But what we do realize is that the limitations of this dream has nothing to do whether it's near space or far space. It's wherever the soul wants to go. And then furthermore, it may be possible for the soul of the man to go with or without the soul of the body. So the question then comes, would it be possible for the soul of the body to leave without the soul of the man? No. And the reason is simple. The soul of the man is at a higher field strength than the soul of the body. In other words, the soul of the body is faster than the earth light. The soul of the body is the spirit light. But the soul of the man is faster than spirit light. So the soul of the man, shall we say, is the leader. So the soul of the body would be the follower. But if the soul of the body were to leave, who would look after the body? would the body die or would the body go into a coma? But now, with what I've brought up today, is to identify this near space and far space. There's a connection. And the thing about this connection, and we've all connected something, right? Say we connected two things with a string. First question you ask is, how long is the string? Well, if you go and dream and then you travel halfway across the universe, how long is your connection? How strong is your connection? And so we find that there's a contiguous connection right across the universe, and it is well organized. So if it's well organized by us, then there's something else that's going on. And so we find that there's a communication in the universal community. And this is at a nebulous speed, faster than Earth light, and obviously faster than Mars light. And so this is all part of the transcendence into the new energy states. So just to be clear, if we're talking about manifestation into physicality, that's materialization. But if we're manifesting into something else, then it's either creation or it's another form of creation. It's always a two-way street. And so the manifestation point does not necessarily mean physical manifestation. So the rules would be on Earth, and then the rules would be on Mars exactly the same. And so that becomes part of the physical reality. And this is one of the problems that we are having. We're always, trying to pursue happiness, but, we're doing this with rockets, and then we've never launched a rocket into outer space, never been into outer space. And so then the Earth space rules, do they apply to inner space or outer space? The plasma rules do. And that's what we're doing. So when people ask you about plasma, tell them it's a kind of energy state. And it's helping us to understand our Earth space, finding our inner space and searching for outer space. And it's very, very important because right now we've come into a crisis where this peace dome is not just something that's nice for all of us to do. It's a necessity. It becomes part of the inner space dome of this planet. And so it allows all of us to participate in this great adventure. And to understand is that there are those who are still choosing to bind their energy by taking it at the expense of others. Well, here's what we all understand. The proof of concept is, and I keep referring this to you, you weren't born on Mars, you were born on Earth. So there's a preference and sentimentality for Earth. And you were born. And you weren't born with a rocket. And however you were born, you were using their system. And that system that they were using was for their system from outer space. And so you were born here. And the question then becomes is that the first part of the journey? And then leaving Earth would be the second part of the journey. And so this becomes very interesting. And when we look at our dream space, when we go to sleep at night and then we want to travel, that's a new journey. And so we get to enjoy that journey without losing our body and without having the loss of access to the Earth space. So that's pretty good. But, it's something's incomplete. And so what is incomplete is having to understand that our entry into the universal community has to be peaceful. So when we look at ourselves, we have to understand that we are inherently peaceful, and the universal community is inherently peaceful. So if you are not of this kind of orientation, then you are dysfunctional. You are a disconnect between the soul of the body and the soul of the man. Because the soul of the man understands science and the need for peace. So in our biosphere of peace, we have to understand that we are in an existential crisis, and we have to harvest the plasma energy of the plasma universe. So we are doing this in so many different ways, but we are not knowledgeable or skillful enough. And then another phenomenon happened, and that is we had excitable visitors. And they were, I guess, cackling like a bunch of hyenas. They were excitable, they were happy. And is this a reverse dreamscape? In other words, was this their dream? Did this space enhancement unit become their dreamscape? Well, that's pretty funny, isn't it? If we go to dream and we were to encounter these excitable visitors, would they welcome us into their dreamscape? And now that we've opened up the pathway, it's kind of amusing that they have decided to follow the pathway into this dreamscape. Well, are we ready for this? We're post June 6th, and we're still looking for outer space, but we have choices now. This is the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, Teachings on Plasma Science. We're calling all Earth space patriots. The World Peace Treaty needs to be signed with a pen, with your heart, with your soul. You see that the Earth has overlapping fields of life with freedom from boundaries. And so these dreamscapes that we go on every day, they're not affected by whether it's near space or far space. Distance doesn't matter. So what we're looking for is a physical and emotional transformation on this planet. And this transmutation is to bring us from that transparency point to this manifestation point. This is the new knowledge that takes us beyond the nebulous point of the universal inner space of freedom, the universal refugium of nebulous life of the universal community. When you go to sleep, you are in your refugium, your little cocoon of safety. And so we find that these connections with outer space, they are stressing man-made boundaries of thought. And these boundaries need to be stressed because they are holding us back. Plasma science needs to be delivered in exchange for peace on Earth. So welcome to the outer space age. And thank you all for listening to this lesson. I hope you enjoyed the trip.
Thank you very much, Alex, for sharing your understanding with all of us. Again, I think we've been into, I mean, would you call the moon or circling around the moon deep space? I mean, it is a space. just
Uh,
my thought. I was looking through the list before you answer that, and I was saying, wow, everyone's already been here. I recognize almost all the names in the list as being here before, and all of a sudden, another Alex appeared in our group. I don't know how he found us, but we, at this point in time in the program, we always ask, is anyone here for the first time? Alex, if you'd like to just state your name and where you're from, perhaps, and how you found us.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. How you doing? I'm Alexander, originally from Canada, and I'm actually in Linz right now with my friend Nikolai, who's been with studying with Mr. Kesh for, I think, quite some time. There's Nikolai.
Hello. Wow.
And we're actually going into the spaceship enhancement unit tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
or no,
Well-
sorry, the day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow.
after
Yeah.
that.
So we're very excited.
That's
Now, did-
awesome.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
No,
Yeah.
no, I just glad to see you guys and glad to see you, Nikolai.
Great. A pleasure. Great to be here.
Did
Hey,
you guys book a one-way ticket and you're going to return through the transmutation, or did you buy a round trip ticket?
We are actually very optimistic, and we did book one-way tickets, actually.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, we get to do both of the experiences. We're doing the flight on the first day, and then we return on the second day for the transmutation. But we'll see.
Excellent. Everyone has a different experience in there, so we wish you very well and a lot of enjoyment and opening new dimensions for both of you. Thank you, Alex and Nikolai.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Mark. Good to hear your
Yes.
voice and
Yes,
all the rest.
Much love to you all.
great, great. Wow, Canada is fully represented there. I know Diane had a question earlier, and I think she saved it for this part of the meeting. And let's
Yeah,
see
if you want to ask that question
yeah,
again so that
I think she
everybody
does.
hears it.
Yeah, hi Alex. Thank you for all your understanding and teaching. I'm more confused, but I understand like the reference point, but then like the not me, like our physicality, like it's not really us, but it is because we manifest depending on the energies we carry. Is that about right?
Yeah, it is, and it's a very tough concept to understand. So I really appreciate your question there. The subject matter has to do with boundaries of what this is me and this is not me, and what does that mean? So the moment you put a boundary and you say this is me and this is my fence line, and then outside my fence line, well, that's not me. Well, that's not really possible. If you look at your fingers, you could conceivably look at your fingers and say, well, the tips of your fingers are the physical end of yourself. But that's not true. The aura goes outside of your fingertips. So that's part of you. And so to have this discussion about science in what do you call it, an archaic way, we've always put boundaries on it and saying, so this is me, this is not me, and this is mine, and you know, it creates a problem on this planet, because in fact, if we are part of the whole universe, then how can we decide what we are and what we are not? So really, the whole purpose of identifying who we are and what we are is to be able to create some kind of reference point. Now, where this really comes into play And I'm not going to mention any names, but if you've ever seen a boss, let's say, for instance,
If you like, I can jump here.
yeah, just give me a moment, Jalal, please.
Go ahead.
So if you've ever seen a boss and that boss is saying, well, you know what? We've created a real mess here. And now that I'm here, we're going to solve this problem. Oh, really? You're going to solve this problem. So really, the reason we have this problem is because you weren't here. And so that individual is basically saying that I will solve this problem because of who I am and because of the capabilities that I have, and totally ignoring the fact that there are other factors that affect this whole thing. And so you'll find that this becomes a path to failure. And this is a kind of arrogance that we have from leadership. So what the leaders need to understand is that the people that they lead are dependent on them for leadership. And if those people are suffering from your leadership, then your leadership needs to change. That's just automatic. That is automatic. And if you are the one, you are the man, you are the guy who knows all the answers, well, the big answer is you have to step down. That's the big answer. And you're not big enough to do that. So that becomes the problem. And so everything that we do, we try and say, well, Europe's got a problem. They can't pay their hydro bills, and they don't have enough energy, and they can't, it doesn't affect me. Here in North America, we're okay. Well, that's retarded. That's not the way life works. We're all in this together. And I said this before. You don't measure a country's wealth by the wealth of its people, but you measure it by the depth of the poverty of its people. It becomes very important for you and what you consider with respect to your neighbors. And so we have a catastrophe where we have government agencies who are tasked with the responsibility of looking after the entire community, and they are failing. And it's always something else that is more important, something else that we can spend money on that is more important. And so we're not taking care of business. So this becomes the problem when you have boundaries. And then when you have these boundaries, then you say, oh, that's my garbage, but, I'm just going to throw it away, and now it's your garbage. Well, there's no place to throw it away. I hope that helps, Diane.
Yeah, it does, definitely. There's a lot to think about. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Jalal, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, yes. Hi, everyone. First, I have one comment for Alex here in the picture. Alex, from the beginning, you have a spiral in above you. So what will happen there? So good luck, guys. And secondly, when you are against of yourself and when you are against which you are not yourself, didn't we have it in our reactor box? and how it manifests there. I think if you understand it, you will understand a lot, and in reality, it gives you an idea of behavior. I hope you understand what I mean, guys. When you have a glance of yourself, anyone can answer this question?
Well, what do you mean by GANs of yourself? Sorry.
When you make a glance of the glance of itself, what is inside your reactors, or let's say boxes? Come on, you know the answer. Don't be afraid to be wrong, because with me you're always wrong. So don't hesitate.
All I can think of is your thoughts and your emotions, and then whatever that translates to.
If you understand it in the boxes, then you convert it to what you want. What what kind of gases when you create, let's say, CO2? What you need to create that?
Well, zinc and copper and nanoclouded copper.
So it is a gases of itself, isn't it?
Okay. Didn't you say yourself? GANs of yourself or itself?
Look, my way of looking at things is always related that it is an entity. It have a soul, it have emotion, it have a physicality. So what is the difference between this, what you call copper and nano and reactor, and yourself? It's no different. This is the way I look at it. Now, the question is, when you are yourself and when you are not yourself. So in the boxes, what we are doing, when the GAN says it is itself, when the GAN says it's not itself. When you make a CO2 gas, did you just stand still and look what you are creating? Do this CO2 in any relation, in any form related to the copper and the zinc? What does it have to do with the copper and zinc? But in other way, you created COO. It's itself. You created ZNO. It's itself. This is a very good question, really, if you just look at it. What is the behavior you can behave that you will create yourself? And what is the behavior you behave that you create not yourself?
Well, how can you not put your energy into it? Like, what's not you or me or whatever?
It's always there is energy. You know, energy is all over, all the time, all the spaces, all no spaces, everywhere there is energy. Because what is energy? What is energy?
Motion?
Energy is existence. That means whatever you do, there is energy. You die, there is energy. You live, there is energy. You wake up, there is energy. You sleep, there is energy. So energy is everywhere, every time. It is how you convert. Mr. Cass said, God the creator and man is converter. In any time, in any space, in any moment, you are a Magraph position. The next frame, the split of second, next frame, split of second, it's a different energy form. So why you think about energy? It is exactly this, what Alex brought and what you asked. From this behavior, this moment of time and the next moment of time, are you yourself or are you not yourself? And this behavior, we see it in the boxes. But what's really happening there? If we put the, the word of gravitational magnetical interaction, what happened there to give us this condition? What happened there to give us this condition? I hope it's not too much, but in reality, we are doing it. Stand still and see what you are doing. Why I have copper oxide and why I have CO2? What is happening there? And why I have ZNO and why I have CO2? Why I have carbon field, and what does the carbon field have to do with the copper and the zinc? I hope you can answer it yourself, for yourself. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Jalala. I'd like to pick up from there. Diana, how are you doing? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I got a lot to think about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there is a lot to think about. The reason for it is because what you have to understand is that the plasma reality is a precursor for the physical reality. So in other words, when we do go to sleep, our souls are making arrangements with other souls. Planning is always done in advance, you see. The thing is that we don't have a reference point. If we say, well, our reference point is just, here within our solar system and stuff like that, and yet you have this universal community, but where exactly are they? There's obviously places beyond our immediate point of reference. So the thing is that there are rules, and we're disobeying these rules, so we're not getting a chance to go there. But now, as we understand that we have to follow these rules, and we inherently want to follow these rules, right? Because life wants to live, and we are part of life. We're part of the creator. So, to think in any other way is retarded. So you have to think in terms of the benefit and not just to yourself. Because at that point in time, if you say, well, I want to do this for the sake of my benefit, well, here's a classic example. Someone wants to talk to someone who, is a clairvoyant. Oh, can you tell me what lottery numbers I should take? Well, see, that's an abuse. Because right off the bat, what you're looking for is the lottery numbers that would allow you to win the lottery. Assuming right off the bat that you deserve to win the lottery or you need to win the lottery more than anyone else. And so because you have this special alliance, you've got the fixes in, right? You've got this special connection with someone who can, see the future. Yes. So you're going to now take care of business for yourself. Well, that's not the way it's going to work. And so we have to understand in ways that I've said before, if your neighbor cannot afford your goods and services, then you're out of business. So the welfare of your neighbor is very important. And the welfare of your neighbor is your business. Oh, wait a second. That's not my problem. That's his problem. I have my problems. You have your problems. You deal with your problems. Well, the criteria here is whether or not there's an abuse. But in terms of the inherent belief with respect to how the universe works, this planet cannot function with this kind of mayhem that's on this planet. It cannot. And it is suffering greatly. And so fortunately, all of us are building the peace dome, which is increasing the strength. And think about this strength. This strength is of a higher energy strength than the physicality. And two, it is not specific. In other words, it broadcasts. And when you broadcast, you don't dictate who you broadcast to. You just broadcast. And so anyone who is within range of getting contact from this peace dome is going to benefit from that. And you don't dictate whether or not you give. I will give you my power. Really? You'll give me your power. You cannot give in that regard. What you can do, for instance, if someone is stuck in a driveway, you can put a shoulder to it and push your car out. That's one way that you can contribute. But if you want a society to be good, we have to look at the whole essence of the society where each of us cares for a neighbor. And how can we care for a neighbor when we don't even care about our own family? So what we need to do is to take care of business on the home front, build a plasma reactor inside our home so that we have a place of refuge. And from that point of refuge, we broadcast peace and harmony to the rest of the community. And you don't do that, the way you do that, let's say you go to the washroom and you sit on the throne. Oh, I'm going to give peace now. That's not the way it works. You either are or you are not a believer in peace. You are either a practitioner of peace or you're a warmonger. And if you're a warmonger, then you are binding energy. You are losing energy. So, I'm sorry. That's a bad deal. I don't care, you say you're such a good businessman, but you keep consuming energy. Oh, yes, well, I can always steal it from someone else. Yes, I guess you can. But it's coming to the point now. What's happening in these dreams that we're having? The universal community is having the same dreams. And their dream is of heaven on earth. And so I hope, God, I hope you guys don't meet some interesting people in Linz. Find out how happy these people are, Nikolai. Maybe you can hear them.
Anyone else have something they'd like to bring, unless you're not finished, Alex?
Oh, I'm finished. I made my point. I hope it was clear.
Well, I'll just share a dream with you I had last night. Mr. Kesh appeared in my dream. Of course, it wasn't the first time he's appeared in my dream, or hopefully not the last time he appears in my dream. And I don't know if it was the first dream I had or later on, but I know I had put on the Knowledge Seekers Workshop and went to sleep listening to it. Sometimes that's a good technique to do. But anyway, and of course, in class this week, someone brought up that picture of the spaceship in Eindhoven, the building. And they said that someone is working on this building to refurbish it, and it's getting ready. And Mr. Cash, she said, used to teach in this building or on this campus. So we were outside the building. You'll like part of this, Alex. Anyway, we were outside the building. We couldn't see Mr. Cash, but we could all hear his voice. Now, I don't know if we were hearing it audibly or through the soul, but we were waiting there, and somehow someone had poured a concrete pad, and we had a universal body enhancement spaceship unit. And I was asking Mr. Kesh, well, can we put the unit on the concrete pad? Because we wanted to play with it, And he said, no, you have to wait 3 days for the concrete to dry. So anyway, after a while, Mr. Kesh appeared. He came out of the building. We were all on sort of like a veranda or a patio in front of the building. So he walked across campus to another building, and we all followed him over there. And somehow, at least for me, Mr. Kesh disappeared again. But we were still hearing the teaching. I don't know if it was an audible one, or it was through the soul, and maybe it was because he had brought this up in the beginning of this last workshop, that some of the teachings, or he may decide to teach through the soul. So we were all there. We heard Mr. Kesh, and again, I asked him, can we put the universal unit on the pad? He said, no, you have to wait 3 days for the concrete to dry. Why? I don't know. But anyway, that was part of the dream I do vividly recall. But the knowledge seekers were there. We couldn't see Mr. Kesh, but we were hearing his voice. And I'm not sure whether it was audible or on the soul level. I'm thinking it was on the soul level. But the interesting part about the pad, Alex, no, you have to wait 3 days for the concrete to dry. So anyway, that was my dream. He appeared in the dream, so that means I must have been interacting with his soul. And I just thought I'd share that with everyone.
I think that's a beautiful story.
You worked with concrete a little bit, right?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Do you need 3 days for the concrete to dry?
Well, it all depends on the mixed blend, but yeah, you're gonna need it to get hard. Yes, for sure.
Right, right. So
So
anyway,
the other thing is that I was having some trouble with the vehicle, and so the question came into my mind, you know, was this stupid thing was you know, needing repairs, and you know. I had to get it to the mechanic, and he had to buy the parts, and time was going to go by, and then in the meantime, I had to drive this thing. So I just changed my attitude, and so I basically, you know, I asked the vehicle to hold it together and know that the repairs are coming, and that all you have to do is just, you know, keep it going for a little while, and then maybe you'll be a little bit noisy, but you know, we can do it. And guess what? It worked out perfectly. And this is one of the references that I'm trying to make, is that if you know, decide what you're going to broadcast, then you put a limitation on it. So if we say that all objects have a soul, so whether they're animate or inanimate, so you know, what's a car? A car is well, it's a machine, right? It's inanimate, but it has a soul, and so we kept it together, and it was wonderful. And the thing was that this repair needed to be done, and it would have been dangerous for me. So that's the silver lining on that particular thing, despite the fact that it put me out of commission for about 2 weeks. So do I begrudge that, or do I say, you know, this is working in mysterious ways? And it's not that I need to explain it, it's I need to react to it. I need to work with it. I need to be at one with it. Okay, I need to accept it. I can't, you know, say, you know what, you are a stupid car and I am the driver, you do what I say. No, no, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. You know, and so I find now that the vehicle is running great, and the vehicle is my friend, and I treat it as such. And every contractor knows that if you take care of your tools take care of you. Well, that's what a vehicle is. You have to take care of your vehicle, and it takes care of you. But you know, I think what we have to understand is that we all have to be a little bit smart. And I'm going to say this because it just came up that there was a lot of flooding in Florida, and there were a lot of electric vehicle fires. Wow. Talk about technology gone wrong. This is the same technology in Germany that is now more expensive to fuel up an electric vehicle than it is an internal combustion vehicle. Good intentions gone bad. This is what happens when uneducated people start running the planet with bad physics, bad science, and bad intentions. And yes, you know, you have the power and you have the control, but guess what? It's limited to the physicality, and it's taking in the weakest energy form possible. And so you are reaping the rewards of that. So now, the fact that we have a capability of communicating on the soul level, what does that say? So what it says is that we have a physical way of manipulating our situation. And when I say manipulating, you know, if something's broken, you fix it. That's your responsibility. We have an emotional attachment as well. We have to take care of that. And then we have our soul of the body. But now we have the soul of the man. And the rules are the same. It's just that it's at a higher level. And because it is at a higher level, it can do more. It can do things that we don't even think about at the physical level. So this is why I went on today's discussion and say, well, how did we traverse across the universe in our dreams? And where did we go? And because we don't know, we've never been there, or we have no reference, or I don't know if I've been there or not, but the thing is, I can't remember if I was there. So if I can't remember, does that mean I wasn't there? Well, no, I don't think so. But how would I know if I was there? Well, an interesting thing happens. And that is, though, there are those who knew that you were there. And so they're watching. So there are activities on different dimensions. And these dimensions are within 3 dimensions, but they're in a higher energy state. So they're capable of doing more, but they still play by the same rules. And now we've gone to a new technology. And apparently this is unheard of by the universal community. So we've been told, and I have no reason to doubt that. Because let's face it, if you are disconnected from your soul, then you cannot work at that higher level. I'm sorry. You have disqualified yourself. It's your own fault. You are the one who set the boundary. And you said, this is me and this is not me. Great. You call the shots. You're the boss. You're the boss. So the soul of the man is the boss. And the soul of the man is working with the creator. And the soul of the man is your friend, and it will never let you down, ever. Thanks, Mark.
Sure, and as we know, the animals do the same thing with dreaming. Actually, some of them probably spend more time in the dream state than they do in the matter state. They say the lions sleep about 23 hours a day, or some of them do. And I asked Mr. Kesh about this. I used to have a dog, and the dog would lay on the floor and go to sleep in the middle of the day, and we'd see the legs moving and the snout puffing and some whimpering, little things like that, and the legs were moving. It's rather comical in a way, but they're doing the same thing. They're actually, and the cats I have now, they both sleep quite a bit. So I think they're entering into this other dimension, which, again, Mr. Kesh says is more the reality than the dream. And they're doing the same thing. They might be visiting the mother. They might be interacting with friends they had down the street or what have you. So these souls can do exactly what we're doing, and they're going to become more elevated as well. It's great that we're going to be able to participate in the elevation of the souls of the world leaders, and then we're going to make observations in 7 to 14 days to see what sort of changes when Mr. Kesh gets all these satellites together and energizes the system. I don't know exactly when that'll be. It's still in the sign-up phase. So again, we encourage all of those who haven't or who've held back or whatever, but your soul will make that decision to be part of this satellite system and to bring the peace on this planet. So the soul can work that way. It can also work in the dream state in a way. And I know this is what we're heading for, to be able to do these transporting while we're fully conscious of what's going on. So we're very privileged to be here and to be exposed to this knowledge and to be able to accept this knowledge. Our souls know. I think all the souls know. But some souls of physicality are a little stronger than others, and they'll walk away from it. But we're very privileged, and we should stay humble that we were able to receive this knowledge, especially of the resurrection. This has been hidden for over 2 millennia. And now it's getting opened up for all of us to realize we have this capability. So what a phenomenal position and humbling position we're in as knowledge seekers to bring the change to an entire planet.
Precisely, Mark. And on that note, I want to sign off here and thank everyone for allowing me to present today. And kudos to you for putting on such a great show. And remember that the strength of the North American team is worldwide. So thank you all for participating. I'll be in the background.
Yes, I'd like to see some of those people from NASA join us, but they may not be able to, or there could be a ban on it. I know there was a ban interacting with Mr. Kesh on the old bulletin board at NASA, so maybe only the higher level ones are getting briefed. He said all the direct line to NASA, and they're watching every test, so there must be some cameras there, and every test is being explained to NASA of what's going on in Linz. Of course, as we said, they cannot create or duplicate this system, but they're certainly taking notes and pictures, as I understand it. So NASA could be one of the first space agencies to open this up as well. And of course, when people see they don't need a rocket anymore to move, or they don't need an airplane to move anymore, or even the UFO is looking kind of old-fashioned in a way, I think this is just, again, we're on the cusp of just breaking this open. And again, it's up to the team in Linz, Mr. Kesh, when the time is exactly right, then the switch will be turned on. So we patiently continue to work, continue to spread the knowledge, and continue to, it's the best place to be in and around the foundation as I see it at this point. So would anyone else like to add anything today? And I think, Alex, the soul of the man can take the soul of physicality. Most of the time it doesn't. It only shows a glimpse of, and again, the soul is interacting with other souls, and if it showed you that, you probably wouldn't understand the dream at all. So when you're in the dream and you see the mother, that's because the soul of the man has projected back through the brain, so the soul of physicality will partially understand. But we know we can take the soul of physicality with us in these dreams as well. You just have to ask the soul if it would take the soul of physicality and show more. But now we're going to learn to do it fully conscious to create this hurricane or this tornado between the soul of physicality, which in the box that Jalal was just describing, I guess we would call the matter state, and then the nano-coated copper in the CO2 box. When you nano-coat something, you go into a different dimension. So we have the soul not in the matter state, but in the energy state. And so we're getting these two to interact, very similar to the box as I see it, to learn to create these interactions between the two and allow the magnetic field to be reduced and the soul to expand. But we're learning it. We're learning it. But as he said in the clip, if the Buddha was able to reach the same level as the lady in the machine, then yes, he can do it. And he has done it. And it's been reported and documented. And of course, Christ did it too, but it was sort of covered up in a way. That they couldn't find the body, and then they made it into mysticism and so on. So we're on a beautiful path of really exploring who we are. But even when we go into space, I don't know if any of you picked up on it, that he wants us not to be fooled by any magicians or those who call themselves prophets in space. And so we're learning this so we will not be fooled. So apparently there's a couple of pitfalls there that we need to be aware of. He called them magicians or prophets, that we could get fooled by them, but that we wouldn't if we had the knowledge of what we're doing. So very interesting. Would anyone else like, I thought Adrian may appear today. He did say he had some things he'd like to show. I'm going to put my first toroidal coil into service very soon. It's been growing the nano coating for about 6 days. And I may make some zinc oxide later, and just to see how those perform, although there was a couple mistakes in there that I realize now, but that was the first toroidal coil I made. And even Mr. Kesh, with the deep cold that he's had, he's been supporting himself with the Ganses. So it's not that we're going to abandon all this, I don't think. We're still going to be working with the Ganses and the other things when we're in the matter state. But I don't have the full picture. I'm just approximating what I think I understand.
Hey, Mark, it's Nikolai.
Hey.
Hi. And hello, everybody else, not just Mark.
Are you across the street? Are you up the street from Linz? I know Mr. Kesh said people would start to feel the fields on the outside of the building as well. How close are you to the location?
We are about 20 minutes by car. There are not terribly many places nearby to book, so we have a 2-bedroom apartment about 20 minutes away by car. But I have a very funny experience I wanted to share.
Good.
In terms of the nanomaterials. We flew into London, and we spent some days in London with some friends, Alex's, and then moved on from there to Slovakia. We had a very cheap flight and took the train here. And as we were leaving the UK, we had our luggage checked by the security, and we had some nanomaterials with us. The nanomaterials had our bags moved aside because they were in our luggage. One was a nano-coated water bottle. So it's a copper water bottle, the outside of which was nano-coated in a cold caustic method. The inside is still copper. And these 2 hollow nano-coated copper tubes, which I'm calling wands at the moment. And the guards very much didn't understand what these were. And it seems like they can appear completely blank on their scanners. So a funny experience that almost cost us a connecting flight as they pulled things out and were very questioning and wanted to know why. Well, for Alex, the water bottle was pulled out at another location also. And they said, oh, this has liquid in it. And it didn't. And they open it up and then they find out there's no liquid in it. But they literally couldn't see inside with their X-ray scanners or whatever it is they're using. And these nano-coated wands, I guess, were very confusing for them. And the guy just looked at me and said, well, what are these for? And I said, they're healing wands. And he turned to his partner and they kind of laugh, or I was laughing on the inside, but they looked at each other with a kind of snarl and a disgruntled look, and then kind of said, well, we believe you that these are healing wands, but well, fine, here, take them. So just more proof to us to see these things x-rayed or scanned and having these agents completely confused.
So they could see the shape of the bottle, but they couldn't see what was in it. Like it wasn't transparent on the X-ray.
Yeah, that's right. And so there's nanomaterial only on the outside of this copper water bottle. The inside is still copper where the water would be. And they thought it was full. And so they asked to see it and open it. And then they saw that it's empty and then looked at Alex. I didn't actually see that component, but I had the 2 wands in my bag, and these are 3/4 inch copper hot water heater lines that have been, so they have this kind of coiled texture or shape to them, and then end caps on the ends, and the inside I've dipped into cup 2 and the outside I've dipped into cup 1, and then I've sealed them with a number of layers of shellac so that you can hold them in the hands, and they're quite nice. They create quite an interesting field. But yeah, the guys were totally bewildered, had no idea what to do because they couldn't see these things. I didn't see the scan, obviously, but they were very questioning and wanted to know what these things were. So
did they think
funny.
you were magicians and this was part of your magic act?
I don't know what they thought, Mark. I think more they were probably hoping that I don't know, maybe I would answer something stupid and they would get to hit me over the head with them or something. But yeah, no, the nanomaterial is a huge envelope. So I imagine those X-rays never made it back to the machine. It just got stuck inside the inside the thousands of layers of carbon.
Very interesting. Yes, I hadn't heard a story like that before.
So next time he said, put this in your checked luggage, please. But anyway, I thought I'd share that funny little anecdotal story. And yeah, I know Liana in Hawaii had a similar experience where TSA pulled coils out of their bags and had no idea what they were looking at and was very confused. So not the first time it's been heard of, apparently.
Yeah, that's the first time I'm hearing of it. Very interesting. Yes, we know it creates a shielding for sure.
So anyway, we're excited for our
I'm glad they let you pass.
And
yeah,
so are we. We would have missed our very cheap flight to Bratislava and would have been a little upset about the 7-pound flight not getting on. So much love to all of you in all the places you are, and hope to have something to report next week. We'll be here until Friday in Linz, and then
excellent.
Once we have this experience, we'll find out what the next instructions are, shall we say.
He seems to have different tests for everyone there. A lot of this is also learning for the team and the system. So I don't know what he'll have in store for you, but it's always very beautiful. And hopefully you can share, and I don't know if you'll make a recording or not, depending on what goes on, but that's great that you made it there. Fantastic.
Yeah, we certainly hope to. I think that'll happen regardless of the experience, but we'll let it unfold.
And you really did book a one-way ticket?
We have one-way tickets.
Excellent. Wow.
Who knows? I know my friend Alex has said he doesn't want to leave Europe until he can transmute himself around the planet and heal beings and help elevate them in many other ways. So I've been showing him the teachings in the background for the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer. And yeah, as soon as we knew that these things were operational in Linz, he just said, okay, we're booking tickets and we're going to be there right when we're meant to be there. So
excellent. Was it a long flight or any delays? How did all that work in the travel end of it?
Yeah, I came from Phoenix, and Alex and his girlfriend came from Vancouver. So she's going to be with us as well on the first day in the flight system, and then the second day it'll just be Alex and I in the transmutation. But as we know at this point, Mr. Kesh is putting people through the transmutation phase that we're expecting to come for the flight system, so we don't actually know what's going to happen in that regard. But yeah, the flights from my end were a little chaotic across the United States, and then over to London, and it feels like until only a few days ago that we kind of got over the jet lag, so it took a little while. And yeah, we had a lovely time exploring in Bratislava in Slovakia, gorgeous little town that we wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for really cheap flight happening to show up. So really happy for that. And then took the train from there to Linz, which is wonderful. The trains are fantastic. And I was sharing with these guys actually about how much better the body feels when it's moving near the earth as opposed to thousands of feet above it in the plains. It's as if the magnetic field of the planet doesn't reach to that atmosphere as we're used to, and we just get utterly bombarded with radiation or whatever it is. It just like an hour and a half or 2 hour flight from the UK to Bratislava versus the 3 hours on the train in the similar seat. It's like absolutely night and day. The trains are fantastic. Would love not to have to take a plane back to North America if it can be avoided.
Well, I don't think you'll be taking a train back, but hopefully you'll just appear here.
That would be lovely. Maybe I can come and say hello to John in Arizona and hang out with him for a few days or something.
Nikolai.
Hi, Jalal.
Hi, my friend. Nikolai, there is a point where really you can fulfill your wish. Always, Mr. Cash, put there a free energy, which is matching what you sincerely wish. I hope you can tap on that. Really, really, I hope. So we will be with you, my dear. We support you all the time.
Thank you,
You
Jalal.
and Alex and your his girlfriend.
Thank you. It would be lovely to see your face here. I know you once said September or October you might come to Linz. So I sent you a message the other day when we went for coffee and had cake, and I thought, I'm going to send Jalal a video.
You will feel me there. Believe me. I will take with me some ganses, and yeah, I will be connected with you. Don't worry.
No worries. I never am. You were the first one who came in my dreams when I first started with the Gesh Foundation, and you were teaching me how to do telepathic contact. You were sitting on a bar, and I walked in when I was in my dream state, and I never saw your face, but I knew it was you, and you just showed me something in the dream. I think maybe 4 years ago. So even from the beginning, my friend, you were there.
But Nikolai, I only drink beer. I didn't drink vodka. You remember?
Oh yeah, okay. Beer or maybe coffee with salt.
I can wish you all the best.
Thank you, my dear. And thank you, Jacko, for the nice message, and Randy, you as well. I just got little bubbles in my Telegram from you both, and lovely to hear from you. If there's anybody else here in the meeting who's going to be in Linz this week, please don't hesitate. Reach out. Let us know if you're around, if you want to go for a lunch or something. It would be good to meet anybody else who's here, but otherwise we will meet the team in Linz, and whoever we are meant to meet, we'll be meeting.
So this is the flight simulation test you booked.
And the transmutation.
Yeah.
We did both. One after the other. So Tuesday, the flight simulation, and then Wednesday, the transmutation for Alex and I. Hopefully we don't leave, and then Zoa will have to find her own way from Europe back to meet us.
Great.
In which case, maybe she can learn some German in the system, just in case.
So you're going to be spending 5 days there, or 5 Monday through Friday?
Yeah, we have a few days on the other side of the experience booked here in the place where we're staying, and we expect that we'll also spend at least 1 day at the exhibition center and just meet with whoever is there. And yeah, otherwise we know the next instructions for what we're doing together will come after that. Every time we looked, and these Sasha or Alex and I are working on a number of projects, and anytime we looked at the set of dates, both of us got kind of a cloudy or a blackness afterwards. We would never hear or know the next step. So it really felt like this was an important stage to come to Linz, and that the next instructions would come afterwards, which are always coming from the universal fields. And so exciting to be here, and to have this finally kind of occur is rather remarkable in a way. We'll keep
Excellent.
you posted.
And he said the experience really starts after you leave the center. That's what he had
Exactly.
said earlier on, but it sounds like they're having amazing experiences within the units as well. But there's something that starts to happen, I guess, once you leave Linz. This is what he had indicated earlier on.
Yeah, I think that's true, Mark. And we end up finding our purpose or our how we can serve, I think, in a higher order after these experiences. So that's what I'm kind of not expecting, but that's kind of what I think is going to become clear to us as we go into the rest of the week and find out where we go afterwards.
Right, and John is going to be announcing, hopefully shortly, the manufacturing center in Arizona. So hopefully there'll be more going on there within the United States, but I guess they have to wait for certain conditions to clear before that announcement will be made. I think he had mentioned that when everything's ready, John will make the announcement.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing what happens in Phoenix. That would be welcome news to my ears. In fact, that's kind of why I went. One of the reasons why I went down to Arizona for the last 6 months or 5.5 months or so was thinking that would be the next place. And we went and visited with him, I think in May, and Alex got to hang out with John, and we ended up staying a night in his lovely home with him, and got to hang out a little longer. But yeah, I feel like there's something happening there shortly. But I mean, we've been hearing that for a couple of years. So if it's not for another year, then hey, it's always in the divine timing in the end.
Yes, just like in my dream, he said, no, you have to wait 3 days for the concrete to dry.
Just like the resurrection, right, Mark?
Yeah, this is just amazing. We've waited couple thousand years for this knowledge to be opened up for mankind, to realize our beauty and our grace and our capabilities. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you for letting me share, guys. Looking forward to it, and we'll keep you posted.
Someone has sent me a short video. Let me see if I can. Alex, I'm just going to share the screen for a moment. It's a very short video from Ed or Gianni, and let's just see this. Oops, 1 second. There. This is about Gianni's dome, and this is what it's titled. So let's see, it's only a minute and a half long. Let's just see what this is about. I think that was just the first part. Ed, are you with us? Would you like to share? I think you've created this.
Hi, hello, Mark.
It's just a first part, perhaps, of a longer video. That's what it looks like to me. Gianni never told us these domes could fly. We saw one taking off there. Thank you.
Well, no, it was just my interpretation of creating a bubble around the dome. And then it transmutes into the universal environment, and then it travels. So no, it's not a prelude to a longer video. I just wanted to do something with Gianni's video. And I wanted to, it was such a beautiful picture. And so I just wanted to create the image of creating a bubble around it, an energy bubble, and then having it go into the universal environment and traveling towards home, maybe.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. Let's see if we can put the background back up for a moment. To Nikolai, and well, I would include Alex. He just says, thank you, Nikolai, from Galib. I am so happy to hear you are in Linz. I will not be there physically, but I am looking forward to meeting you on a new level. Jacko, who's also been a traveler in the system in Linz, says our common connection is the Dome of Peace. Connect and you will see.
Hello, Mark. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Gianni.
Please help me with translation.
Oh.
Spanish or Romanian.
Do we have anyone here who would like to translate? John, I think you're here for Spanish, perhaps. If not John, let's just look down our list here.
Ricardo.
I'm just recuperating my microphone.
Okay, great. Gianni would like some help in translation. I think he has a message or something he'd like to share in the meeting.
Adelante, Gianni, ¿qué quieres comunicar?
Pues lo primero quiero agradecer a Ed para crear este video.
I would like to thank whoever did this video about what I've presented.
That was Ed?
Ed, yes.
Sí, y el video que ha hecho está reflectando la intención con que estoy creando los domos.
And this reflects the intention I have when I'm building these domes.
Porque también cuando utilizas un plasma dome, hay posibilidad de viajar con el alma.
Because when you're in the dome, you have the possibility of traveling wherever you please in the dome.
En el modo que está exprimado en el video.
In the way it is being shown in the video.
También hace lo que ha visto Ed, expandiendo el campo alrededor, creando un medio equilibrado.
And it also does the expansion of the energy as Ed has shown us.
Pero también podemos llevarlo con la fisicalidad, con todo, movernos en cualquier sitio queremos con el domo.
And we can also do this in physicality together with the dome.
Pero esa vez el domo está construido solo por los campos, como me ha mostrado y enseñando el señor Cash.
And these domes have only been constructed with all the energy, as Mr. Kesh has taught us.
Și el rog, voi trimite multe foto. Quiero agradecer y por favor, si puedes, voy a enviar muchas fotos y videos hechos con domos porque tiene una muy buena conexión. Y gracias.
In the near future, I will send many pictures about the domes we're constructing and they're very interesting and very in line with what we're learning.
Otra vez, gracias, 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 porque también hoy he hecho un taller y la base fue qué podemos hacer con un domo plasma.
And thank you all. And today I had a teaching here about what we can do with these domes and these knowledge, this knowledge.
Thank you.
Yes, and Gianni is been a very frequent guest of the KAKT Plasma Reactor Group with Rick. So at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, CEST time, you can join the KAKT Plasma Reactor Group. And also, Gianni has appeared a number of times in the Spanish public teaching, I believe, for the KAKT Foundation, where he showed many of his ways of doing things, or the way he understands the plasma technology and is willing to share it. I noticed Mr. Kesh has just appeared, but he's left. So he appeared for about 5 seconds just before Gianni started speaking, and now he's disappeared.
He was acknowledging your dream, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny is doing a marvelous job there in Romania. He's built over 10 domes all over the place, and he's working a lot on agriculture and teaching the people there.
We've seen
and in
beautiful
fact,
work, yes.
in the next months, he'll be coming over to America. He'll be traveling all over South and North, maybe North America.
Okay, great. Well, if you're in Connecticut, we have a place for you. If you're on the East Coast of the United States.
Thank
He'll
you,
be
Mark.
coming over to teach how to build these domes and how to do the treatment to the ganses. He's only asking for a bit of an assistance to move around, but there are 5 of them that are coming over.
Okay, that's excellent.
¿Qué quería decir, agregar, Gianni?
Quería decir que tenemos invitaciones de todo el mundo.
He's received invitations from all over the world.
Y vamos a hacerlo de una manera que podemos ir a todos los sitios donde somos invitados.
We hope to cover all the places where we have been invited to.
Porque ahora sí que podemos viajar de otra manera, así que todo es posible. Y gracias, Mark, por la invitación.
And now we have learned how to travel in another way, so it's all within our possibilities. And thank you, Mark.
Y claro que vamos a abrazarnos.
And we'll certainly have a good embrace in between each other.
Thank you.
Excelente. So as I said, you can see some of the videos of watching the past programs on the reactor group and see some of the work Gianni's sharing in agriculture, in making things, producing things. There's just so many areas that he's actually worked with and gotten results. So I think he has a lot to share for all of us. I mean, he's done hundreds more things than I have with the plasma. So I'm just trying to add to my knowledge by his grace of sharing the knowledge as he understands it.
Por fin ya hemos resuelto con el internet en el Valle de los Dragones. John?
Yeah, we have managed to fix the internet problems we have had in the Valley of the Dragons here in Romania.
Y mañana, cuando vamos a ir a los testimoniales, lo hacemos de aquí, del valle, que es maravilloso poder hacer eso, dentro de un domo.
And tomorrow we'll be present in the testimonials, and we hope to show everything from inside one of these domes here with the new internet connection.
Y os invito a todos compartir las experiencias que tenéis y es magnífica.
I'm inviting you all over to come and watch the testimonials here tomorrow.
Porque así juntos nos podemos elevar a nosotros y a todas las almas de ese planeta.
So with this, we'll see tomorrow. We can learn how to elevate our souls and elevate the souls of the whole planet.
Thank you.
Yes, thank we. And thank you for reminding us that there is a testimonial program, Rick's monthly testimonials, which I think has been going on a little over 5 years. So if you have anything you'd like to bring or show, that's what that meeting is about. And it's normally at 8 p.m. CEST. So whatever time that is for you, you're all welcome to join the testimonial group, even if you don't have a testimonial, but you just like to be there and learn and to support the program. I know the Brazilian team has thousands, I think Rafael said, of testimonies of people using this and this technology in a small way and in larger ways. We've seen testimonials of hair growing, of ailments being repaired or balanced, and many in the agricultural, recovering trees that would appear to be dead or almost dead, and they come back to life and look very beautiful. So they have many, many testimonials in the thousands in the Brazilian team, and I think he's put something in the American Telegram where you can connect with some of these testimonials and just to see what others are doing, and you can replicate it. So, and that's what it's all about, understanding this technology with a hands-on, so to speak. It gives you a lot more confidence than if you do it at a distance and you've never really actually made a coil or something like that. But none of this is very difficult, at least in the construction part of it. But as Mr. Kesh said, the limiting factors are understanding the combination of the ganses when you're trying to do something, and also the strength of the ganses. The block has been, of course, our lack of understanding the motion of magnetic fields, the creation of magnetic fields, and the interaction of magnetic fields. But Gianni has seemed to really discover quite a number of things that are very useful in your everyday life, from feeding to energy to agricultural to automotive. So I just want to give him a lot of compliments. And again, it's his way of understanding it. And he's gotten great results. So thank you very much, Gianni.
Mark, thank you. Quiero anunciar una cosa que vamos a presentar el miércoles, si Rick está de acuerdo.
I would like to present, invite you all to, on Wednesday, we're going to present something very interesting next Wednesday in the Spanish teaching class.
Un experimento donde hemos modificado, bueno, no modificado, completado un coche.
It's the experiment has to do with
John, I think we didn't hear that. It has, the experiment has to do with what? John, are you still with us? Yes. He's here.
John, no te escuchamos.
I think
Comprueba tu micrófono.
somehow the mic is not connected.
Ah,
Jenny say that has complete a car.
eh, eh, por la necesidad de viajar en muchos sitios donde no hay electricidad, hemos equipado el coche con un panel fotovoltaico de segunda mano.
We have complete the car with photovoltaic photo cells.
Okay.
Because some places has an electricity.
Baterías que fueron tiradas porque no servían para los coches. 3 baterías.
Some batteries, we take the materials from batteries that was put on the trash.
Y le hemos recuperado con plasma.
We have recovered with plasma.
Hemos plasmatizado el coche.
We have been make the car plasmatic.
Como ya sabéis.
How you know?
Y ahora cuando llegamos a un sitio no le conectamos con nuestro sistema alimentando también el casa.
And when we arrive to any place, we can connect the car and giving power to the house.
Eso porque fue un pedido para algunos amigos que tienen en zonas donde no tienen electricidad.
That one made because in some place where it's dangerous, places where there is no electricity.
Y para nosotros es muy cómodo porque así como hemos afirmado, tenemos todo lo que necesitamos.
To us, it's very comfortable because we have everything we need on our car.
Y es un punto de vista, todavía estamos en experimentos, pero sí que funciona y nos satisface todas las necesidades que tenemos ahora mismo.
It's it's very it satisfies every need we have. It's very comfortable the use of this car because it's give us any needs we have in the place where we arrive.
Por momento es lo que podemos asegurar para una familia las mínimas condiciones. Con pocos recursos.
For the moment, is for a few members of a family is with very few resources. Is we can stay with very few resources. We are in experiment yet, but it's working pretty good.
Pero para quien tiene los recursos, os invito a adquisicionar de la fundación porque son muchos mejores.
But who has the resources to get from the foundation is better because it's much better.
Porque nuestra intención es al final ya no necesitar el panel, solo el plasma.
Because for later is for our needs we can use only otra vez, Jenny, se me fue la última.
The plasma energy. Okay. Does my microphone work now?
Yes, John.
Fine.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Zoom is playing up for some reason or other.
Gracias, Ricardo.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks to you. Thanks, Jenny. And I want to say something after Jenny finish. Go ahead, Jenny.
Ok. Gracias, Ricardo. El proceso es lo mismo que está hecho en este vídeo.
And this process is shown in the video I'll be showing on. el miércoles, ¿no?
Sí, el miércoles.
Yeah, on Wednesday I'll be showing this video and we'll see the whole process.
El pequeño Melina está comunicando, así que voy a terminar y otra vez gracias, gracias, gracias.
The small Merlin here is bothering, so Afe says thank you all.
Thank you, Gianni. Ricardo, you wanted to add something?
Vos querías decir algo, Ricardo, ¿sí? Adelante.
Yes, I just want to say thanks to the foundation, to you guys, to Jalal, especially Jalal, and my team of Spanish group team. This Tuesday, going to be 3 weeks ago, my landlord's son, was at the hospital, and doctors say, please call all the family members. He did not pass this night. And the lady called, desperately, very anxious because his son is going to die. He's 28 and has a liver. And my wife told me to talk with her, and we start to work with the plasma. It happened 3 weeks ago. I asked Jalal something, and well, it's going to be two testimonies because the guy is the hospital. He's in Olive View here in LA, and this guy is discharged this week. He's alive and he's pretty good, recovering. And thanks, Mr. Keshe. Thanks, Jalal, for your teaching. And thank you all. That's it, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo, for serving the community. I see Mr. Kesh has rejoined us. I don't know if he'd like to come in here. Usually he said he'd like to come in if he does, so we'll let him sit for a moment unless he does want to come in. Please feel free to open your mic. Thank you, Gianni. So hopefully we hear from that fella. Is he up and walking around, Ricardo? Or is he still in the mode of recovery?
Okay, he is recovering yet, but he hasn't liver at all. I will write down all the process I give with him, but after talking with Jalal, I talk with the guy and say, we give you a gift, but you need to accept this gift. And after the Monday, tomorrow going to be 8 days or 15 days, I'm not sure. The guy doesn't matter. He lost a lot of blood. He's with the 4 basic gases in a very teeny containers and a patch, CO2 patches with urine on the front and on the back. At the beginning, the nurses take away everything to the trash, but we put it on the beer toy, inside the toy, and he always keep the impactant. To me, it's impactant that he do not don't let take from him this beer, this little beer, this toy. Always he's hugging and hugging hard to her body.
Okay, that was a bear, not a beer.
It's a bear. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a bear. Yeah.
That was very good. You're elevating
the teddy bear.
Teddy bear.
Yes, teddy bear, right?
And doctors say it's because alcoholism, but talking to the soul is because he's he has too much angry all the times, and argue with a lot of people, and I'm not sure, but I understand that from the soul, and that's why the liver got sick. And he walks. He's pretty good, conscient. When the day they call us, he has 2 days, 3 days without open the eyes and without movement. And after we start to send the plasma energy, and then the plasma to give the plasma to the mom. But that's very interesting. I think we're going to do a video of the recovery, because Gianni told me and give a lot of information how he has treated another persons, and well, I follow all the instruction all you guys had give to me to him, and I'm very happy. I'm not sure if I am very happy than the mom, because I feel so happy. This technology, I think for this place, LA, where I am right now, is like I am opening with your help, opening to give others the knowledge of this technology here. The lady say, I believe in you. I believe in what are you doing. I can see it, but I touch it. Yesterday, I finished the cup of the universe, and I put a picture inside, and I give to her. When she put the hand on the top, she cannot pull to the top of the cup, because it's a very density energy on that cup. It's the most powerful cup I have been feeling, and she believe blind in this technology now. And when I went to talk to the guy this week, and I say, when you get up, I want you help me to spread out this knowledge. And he said, yes, I will.
Beautiful, it sounds like. And you've been sharing these stories with us for over a year that I can remember, maybe even longer. So you've helped another soul experience the resurrection, shall we say? Because it sounded like that if the doctors were calling the family and saying the patient only has so much time as we see it from our point of view, then he was in a desperate condition.
I don't want to say exactly the stuff, but yes, somebody in that level, I call somebody, some soul of you guys, and I don't going to say right now, later, if it's allowed, because he told me not to say too much about this. But in that soul level, give me like a ping pool ball, plasmatic, with like spike of energy, and he told me to put inside the brain. And he told me it's a computer, plasmatic computer that will help. When I put the computer in the brain, the guy, we was on camera, and the guys opened the eyes and breath. When I asked this soul who helped, we resuscitate this guy, and he told me exactly, we bring him back. That the exactly words he told me.
The patient.
No, okay, the soul who helped me,
right,
told to me that when I asked, we came back, we bring back, we resuscitate him, and he say, exactly, we bring him back. If any of you recognize the answers, we'll know who say that. And the combination of him told me not to say too much about this computer.
Sure. That's a beautiful story, and you're going to make it into a video, and this fellow may appear maybe next month in the reactor, in the testimonials, perhaps, when he recovers a little better.
Oh, yes, sure will.
So that's a walking testimonial of going from near death, or what we call death, to a recovery, a beautiful recovery. Thank you for all the souls who participated in that.
Yes, I say the same. Thanks for all the souls who participate in this miracle. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Yala.
Anyone else have something they'd like to bring or share at this point? So we just heard from a couple people who are about 20 minutes away from Linz, Alex and Nikolai, and they're going to be spending some time with the system, with Mr. Kesh in Linz. So that was very beautiful that they're quite close, and they've booked a one-way ticket. And we're hoping to see them return without using the airplane or the train. I guess they'd need an airplane to cross the ocean, sort of speak, to get back to North America. So let's see how all this works out. I know you're at the tail end of a very bad cold, Mr. Kesh, and you were supporting yourself with the Ganses and things, and hopefully you've made a full recovery, and look forward to another full week in Linz. We're very excited about being able to bring the change through the satellites, and we encourage everyone to continue to sign up and also continue to show up in Linz and add your knowledge or your understanding to the system. I guess they need many, many more people there and many, many more satellites to take part in this great movement of the soul of the man, in conjunction with the system at Linz, and being part or an extension as well of the Universal Council working through the soul. And it's going to be so beautiful to hear a world leader maybe not stepping down, but changing his position totally and publicly stating it or exclaiming it to the public. And I think it'll just take a few, and the rest will, and there's probably half of the world leaders ready to come on now, but they're just in fear for their families or their lives themselves by crossing the system. But I think once we see some of the major players from the Pope or Putin or King Charles III or Meloni in Italy start to come forward and they all agree, we're going to have the beginning of the start of a party being planned on this planet. And we know there's a lot of souls that need to come. So hopefully they're all here, or they're on their way here, or they could appear here instantaneously when the time is actually right. And of course, this whole other area being opened up of meeting our family from the universal community. And I think that's been going on perhaps a little in Linz, and it's not been made public, but this is what I'm thinking. As we stated earlier, it's not only for man, but it's also to make the situation palatable for the citizens of the universe to come here and interact without the fear of maybe being hurt or killed or put into a confinement of some sort. So Mr. Kesh is heading this up. So it's working, as I said earlier, a two-way street. It's not only for us to go out into the universe, but it's for the universal community to feel safe here and to be able to manifest themselves as we see it, even though we know they are already here. About a third of the people on this planet are not from here. They're just hiding in the clothes of a man to have an experience in the physicality. But now we're going to be able to meet them and address them and interact with them. And if you can go so far, perhaps even to get engaged to them or marry them. I think this was brought up in some. So there's no limitations, and we're all part of the same family from the same creator. It's just our lack of understanding the creator and the process of creation. Diane says, blessings. Thank you all for the sharing and caring. And of course, Gianni said, oh, good evening. Good evening.
I mean,
Of
sorry,
course.
I was busy with something else. The situation in Linz is that due to rapid success and development, and us trying to reach the maximum possible combinations of everything else as the second set of systems actually getting put together. The Keshe Foundation team has decided on a very, what we done before is not radical, it's a repetition of what we done before. We are going live from Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll open the Zoom channel, and instead of waiting for testimonials to be recorded, people prior going in are told that when they might be videoed inside the system or when they come out immediately after. Because we found out a lot. There has been a huge progress, development in the past 2-3 weeks with a new system being installed. So we will break rules than before, and instead of getting people to give a testimony after, the testimony when they come out is totally different by the time in front of the camera afterwards. But at the same time, it allows people to feel what is going on inside the system and how people react. We planned this a few weeks ago to go live in. We spoke with Dean that we can put the microphones in. But now from Tuesday, we open the Zoom channels of the Keshe Foundation during the process of testing. Expect a lot of unexpected, expect a lot of things people never spoke about. And we, as we are testing systems, literally people will witness when people come out, their first reaction, their first outcome. And maybe a few other things will happen when they're in there. If you listen to the German teaching on Friday, we keep on asking people that they cannot release anything afterwards. They sign a non-disclosure on the Cash Foundation and our permission to open. The lady who was with us, and as we explained on Thursday teaching, went through receiving water by being in the unit and receiving a large amount of water, and then being put to elevate this whole of a what the fuck called mass murderers of people. She, in the interview in German language on Friday, disclosed something which didn't disclose to us in the or after the test or during the test. And if you go to the German teaching, you hear it that she says, I saw an Arab looking or Middle Eastern looking guy, is what Mr. Kesh was referring to, but that was something I don't know, too shy, or maybe didn't want to tell Mr. Kesh because I was expecting to be Bill Gates or somebody else. And in fact, for the first time we can reveal, yes, the gentleman was of the Middle Eastern origin. And what she saw was 100% correct, or what she felt and saw. And because of many other tests which are going and we don't reveal the reasons of it and whatever, even when you listen to the disclosures, you do not know what's been set up. You just listen to a story, but we know what we set up to get to this story. So now we open the doors on Tuesday and Wednesday, at least for this week, maybe for the following week. And maybe in specific cases, people can put a question to the people who are going through the trial. And maybe in one of the trials, to pre-test, we'll bring one of the world leaders into operation in the zone, live. Because the development is so fast, and secondly, we need to make sure every system in our system which is getting developed is correct, and we don't need to redo it or revamp it. So we decided we get as maximum as possible people's reaction. Maybe live, we ask some of you to join us, those who become satellite people, to participate even this week. We start this process because our 2 vertical systems are in the progress of completion next few 2 or 3 weeks. And the next 2 horizontal systems, which are much bigger, much more powerful, is specifically set for, what do you call it, double combination, which means we can create in one the condition of Earth, and we can create in the other one the condition of another position in the universe or whatever, and see how you land in there, how you look in there, how you feel in there. And so, as I explained in the what do you call it, the discussion on in the presentation last night, that now we are at that verge of doing it, being able to complete it, and so we are ready to deliver. And this time, as knowledge seekers come in, you come in, and if you remember when we did the 129 test lab, we went live. When we did the testing of the swing things, we went live 24 hours a day. And now we're going back to our work of the past, but this time is more to see what the new space technology is to offer. So if you register yourself as a satellite, or you register to be in this, be ready for any eventuality to go through the test. And this will bring us a lot of knowledge, correction, confirmation of what we wanted. I hope many of you will, the announcement will come out tomorrow. That you can, because we don't call it a blueprint, it's a live presentation. people around the world can watch what's the new space technology. And you can invite anyone on YouTube or Zoom to watch the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. I was just wondering why the reason for speeding things up. I was thinking that the souls you're in communication with of the world leaders are asking you to speed it up, saying, we're ready for the change. No?
No, the reason we are speeding it up because we want to get as many combinations as the final two systems, vertical and final two system flight simulations are getting completed. The reactors are getting built, and even I was in the lab, we changed on Friday. We changed some of, because of the new knowledge which is added, we came to make it more efficient. We made, let's say, I think about 40 reactors. With the decision we made, 2/3 of it goes in the bin because of what we learned. And we better change it now than before. Once we put it on the frame, it's very hard to take it off. So yes, with just Thursday meeting, we've thrown hundreds of thousands of euros of development because we are going one step further. I think we must have bet at least 50, 100,000 euro development and research. Just because we have found a better way to do it, faster way to do it. And the reason we open up and we speed up is to not go on the multiple, what I call redoing it. We want to see every possible way. And hopefully help us not to redo things again and restart things again. We had to correct, if you listen to the testimony of the two ladies, this pull to the left showed us a lot of things. Getting pulled, all the passenger, all the knowledge seekers get pulled to the left, go to the other unit. We learn a lot more in that progress. Now we redesign the whole of the reactors. In fact, what we want you to do, we want you to go up through the chimney, which is above you, then become a Father Christmas, and actually going through the sideway. And that's the only reason. There is no speculation. It's just that we need to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible. But people have to understand what is to come. When we go live on YouTube and the rest, people will tune in to see the new space technology now. It's very boring. It's not going to be very exciting. You sit there for 1 hour, 2 hours, people going through the preparation of their energy to move. And then you are not participant, you are observer. Anyway, that's what is about to happen. If you want to join us on Tuesday and Wednesday to be observer, maybe to put a question, maybe to suggest something, we'll watch all aspects. But on our plan is to bring one of the world leaders in, just for a test, to see if it happens, how it happens, how we can control it, and see if the world leader remembers who's been there, or to him is a dream.
So as you've said in the past, nothing's hidden from the soul. So the soul of the world leaders are fully aware of what is about to happen to the physicality of that world, soul of physicality, and the physicality of.
Let me put it this way to you, if it can be explained this way. The world leader will sleep, will dream, and somebody across the world in Linz will tell you what that dream is, and they'll be puzzled how people, I may remember, know his dream. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So, while he's asleep and dreaming, the dream comes to us, and we can influence that position. But the interesting thing is that when we send him a message to watch the knowledge seekers, this program, that time, what he sees, people talking thousands of kilometers away, is what he thought he had a dream of. And that's the plan.
So his dream is going to be shared or experienced by one knowledge seeker or many, or wow, this is again.
All of us live will watch it.
Okay.
All of us live. If, let's say, Jalal says, I want to interact with him, we can bring Jalal into the system, remote. And at the soul level, Jalal can ask him, or influence, or share with him, or explain to him what is wrong, and what needs to be done, and what is correct is doing, from others people's point of view. This is a nightmare for world leaders. Somebody else reading their mind, as I call it.
And will this actually be Jalal stating things, or will it be the wishes of the soul of humanity?
It's the discussion of the souls. We all are observer in two souls communicating. As I said, this brought a big shock into Iran, that in the teaching on Thursday we announced we know Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, because his soul is not bound to his physicality. I challenge people to show us. Nobody can cheat the system. But as the situation was blind, and like the lady, she didn't know who we have brought in, and what she said was 100% correct. And she confirmed to the teaching, if you go to the German teaching, that she received so much water and everything else. She didn't give us any, what do you call it, testimonial when she came out, but being of the German speaking, she released it to the German community on Friday. So it should be easy. It should be easy to do. So in a way, we'll see you on Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe we all learn something new with it.
Beautiful progression, and we're glad things are speeding up in a way. I can't believe all the work that you said you've gotten rid of these reactors and things, and wow. So the development must be fast and furious in a way, maybe not furious, but calm. But there's something happening. I guess we're getting closer to our next level. Are we going to actually see the world leader, or it's going to be the soul? You said, and this is the way it happened in many of the holy books, where kings had certain dreams about things, and then they consulted their court or other people or other ones.
We got the story in public. There are a couple of questions in there that people cannot log in. You have to get in touch with what do you call it? With Mario, who organizes these things, and I can see law writes, I'm not able to log in my account at Keshe Store after I changed my email address. Send the message to store@KAKT Foundation. They will respond to you. We are at the moment going through a huge turmoil in Keshe Foundation again in our headquarters. A lot of people, literally key people in the Keshe Foundation, are going off for a long time to come back later on in weeks. And these are the people who could manage everything, and now we're going to lose them for a long time till they come back. And so we're trying to head on this situation of getting every names and everything else out and putting it right. But regarding these two messages here, write to store at, or write to our customer services at keshefoundation.org. I think customer services at keshefoundation.org is changed to something new, which is more direct, but
support.
Right.
Support at keshefoundation.org.
I think it was announced. It could be. I don't have a good memory about this. It'll be answered. A lot of things will be answered. One of our key people has just gone off, and she'll be off for the next few weeks, at least 3, 4, or 5 months. And we have suddenly 3 or 4 of our key people off for a long time, long term. It's not they're not sick, it's just another condition they all had to. They've taken months off, and when they come back, we hopefully go back. And it's very hard to replace these people because they've been with the foundation for years and they know all the ways of doing things. I'll pass this message on regarding, I don't know who Love is. I don't know the name.
That's the German lady that you offered to pick her up and bring her to Linz at one point in time.
We'll see her on Wednesday or Tuesday. I think we'll see her in white. Winter, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And Charlo, I ask the people in the center to look why your email is not working, to reset it. Anyway, we'll see you hopefully back open on, what do you call it, on Tuesday. Being on Zoom or whatever does not mean affects the satellites or other people. We only contact the satellites. We only contact the people who are booked into the system for whatever reason. And so we might bring even the mobile and transmutation even faster forward. But bring us all, inform as many people as from Monday, from Tuesday, that's what it's going to be. We just open the Zoom channel and people can join in. And maybe, I mean, you know, everything with us is decided last minute. Maybe we will not go take cameras inside the flight zone, that's for sure. We will not. It's a very high level, very simple, but very high level technology. And we were not prepared at this moment to share it with the public.
Yes, and I noticed from yesterday that Biomed Expo that you're in very close communication with NASA. Apparently, they're getting up to date on everything, even though they can't replicate the system, obviously. They must be taking a lot of notes, and must be some people there deeply involved here.
More or less, they get more information and knowledge in certain ways.
Right.
Because there's a long-term agreement between the Keshe Foundation and the heads of NASA. And that, even though they don't like us, but they always supported us in the background in different ways, and we always shared knowledge with them. And in a way, sharing knowledge is not rubbing their nose in, it's for them to understand coming. And the head of the NASA, what the people we're dealing is not just individuals or somebody. These are top guys who actually had major projects, a major part of NASA. And once we send these messages, it's literally shared by all the top people management in NASA. They are puzzled with the way we have performed in the past week. And in most of the Thursday teaching, they are present. They sit in different channels, their own channels, and large number of NASA scientists listen to the teaching every Thursday. Some are live, some that is on recording, and they're trying. It's the same with the Chinese. Chinese scientists never miss a single piece of teaching, and they go through it 100 times, what was said, what it meant, what it means.
Yes, it seems like their matter state Artemis is not, it's still springing some leaks, I guess, in the fuel apparatus or something down below near the motors, and they're going to have to sort of buggy it back to the maintenance center, I guess, before it could be delayed a month or 2 months. So they're having some troubles even in the matter state getting off the ground.
NASA people we discuss or we communicate with, they're in the bigger projects of NASA, in Mars and Jupiter and the rest of the programs. And they're financed differently, they operate differently. You got to remember that some 3-4 years ago, NASA cleared for us to even see the black budgets of NASA. They wanted us to go inside and see and what we can do. And they are fully aware of what we do, and they're watching what's going to come. We're literally on weekly and daily basis in communication with them, because we update them and they understand what's going on. It's not just one person, there are 2-3 heads of that get debriefed directly every week, every day.
That's beautiful to hear, and thank you for deciding to make a one-race planet out of this planet. I don't think it could ever happen without your presence. And then, of course,
we're trying to share the knowledge. I was reading this evening in a meeting, communication with the American ambassador a few weeks ago, and it's very interesting. That's how we structured communicating with the American administration. And it's very simple. It's part of the text. It's amazing when you don't realize it, and it was done 3-4 months ago. And if you understand the essence of it, it's why Americans always keep the door open with the Keshe Foundation. God, it's somewhere near. Maybe I can read it one paragraph. You understand how we work.
And again, this has not been shared that much with the knowledge seekers ourselves. Sometimes we think we're sort of on an island and hoping the others will join us, but I think there's a lot of lines of communication all over the world between the Keshe Foundation and very, very influential decision or policy makers.
I mean, there is a communication to the head of atomic energy recently, as it says, directly to Mr. Grossi. Very recent date. It says, my companies are at disposal of IAEA if need be in case of any accident or incident in the Ukrainian nuclear power stations under attack by Russians. We have made open our factories as part of IAEA, a lot of you know, and the same communication with whole American administration and what we call with the way we work with the embassies and ambassadors. We put very simply that who we take and talk and how we do it. Says, I have already informed Colonel, one of the military top attaches, weeks ago of the shipment of the material. And one paragraph which really was beautiful when I was reading it. Sometimes we go through this because in the meeting we had to go through it. It says nuclear power plasma system technology being shipped to US in coming days is there for both nations' scientific community to enjoy, and will create millions of jobs in both nations. And this is shared with President Biden directly. So we don't hide, but our communication with the world is very, very direct, and with major, what we call workers.
So it does sound like when you said you could transmute something from Iran in 2015 and send it to the White House, and you said the Americans knew it was no joke.
You know, when we do things, you have to understand Iran has different, America has different sections to every part of the world. So we talk in different ways and they talk in different ways, but we still, the negotiations in Vienna is not finished. Actually, it's getting very close. If you don't have the internal problems, you're very, very close to completing. Very close. But the present situation in Iran has put a halt on, because I don't think even the Iranian leaders know if they're going to be empowered the next day, next month, next year. This is This is the fact that they are facing with what's going on. It could be a small change, or if they push, it could bring a change of government. So a lot of things is, who do we agree with? Because the next government could actually throw and shut all the nuclear test centers on that way. I personally don't think if Iran regime changes, the next regime will be so tied up to development of the nuclear weapon side of the technology and more go towards the commercialization of industrial side. Yeah, I think we'll be very close to that way, and then you'll see that everything changes. But we have to see what comes up in the next few months. Don't forget what we see on the streets of Iran. It's exactly the way these people came into power about 40 years ago. Exactly the same way. They chose one person who was dead or claimed to be killed by the securities, and they started marches and rallies, and then they got another one murdered, and they got more rallies. And now they're using exactly the same, but this time it's all women. It's a repetition of what I saw in 1979, but in reverse, exactly what is going on. Exact repetition. Would this lead to a new leadership? Would this lead to a new hardliners if they come out of it? We don't know. In a way we know, but we have to see how the game is played. We know for a fact in the test we tried to bring Ayatollah Khamenei, and the soul is there, soul of physicality is not there. And physicality is absent, so it means he's passed away. He cannot be alive through our test, we know. We made that very clear.
So all the nations apparently are very hungry for this technology, but what about this idea of sharing it? That seems to be, they want it, but they don't necessarily or have reached the point of wanting to share it with the others. Is this clearly on the table that this doesn't come with the exclusive rights?
It is, we got to call back, I've said that before. We were invited to a very exclusive hotel and very exclusive villas in the hotel and very exclusive dinners with the top Chinese officers, military, security, and we were invited to this place 2-3 times. The luxury is beyond imagination, and the whole thing, we don't have it in the West, not even the palaces of Europe. And the reason we were there in one occasion was to, after 2-3 days when we were supposed to go, with the head of the negotiation, the head of the Silk Road security, who was a friend of ours, and the head of the national security of China, to meet with the space scientist of the specific test. We got ready in the morning, ready to go, and we were told, sorry, something has happened. One of the leaders has objected to Mr. Kesh to meet with these people because of the security reasons. And so our head of national security, who's has become like a friend because we literally spend a lot of time with him, he was appointed to go to the space center with these people. We thought, what does he know about the space program? He goes, after a few hours, he comes back. He says, Mr. Kesh, they have all the things you've taught. The only problem is they don't have the fuel combination. That's why they were inviting you in. They don't want you to see the Chinese achievement, but they cannot get the thing moving because they don't have the fuel. And that's the only thing they wanted you to teach them, how to fly, how do you fuel it. So we know the Chinese are extremely advanced at testing every possible way. When we talk about the gas production now, you see this was done 14 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. In past 16 years, we never went to it, but now we do because there's another condition we want to bring in. So, for 14 years, the Chinese haven't managed to find a fuel. And it is so simple to produce it. And why do we need gases in the gas state? Because we go for the energy, we're not going for the material state of burning. Anyway, we all learn and we all progress one way or another.
So they buttered up the bread really good, but they were never able to taste it, it sounds like.
They can't do it. They can't do it. I was in a meeting. Chinese are a very strange structure, especially when it comes to the military and security. We stay in a very beautiful surrounding in Beijing. Beautiful surrounding. It's Chinese wealth in the government level. I've been in European monarchies and all sorts of things. It's beyond imagination. You can't even imagine these things exist, but it's a very normal way with them. You attend the meeting, a dining table of 40 rotating with at least 70, 80, 100 different dishes on the table is normality. And we see a different side of China than normal people do. And I was invited, actually I stayed in this place for quite a few nights. And then being invited back for meeting with the high-ranking officers of the Chinese structure. And a lady 3-star general woman came, saw me coming into the what was like a sitting in under the trees and discussing things. So the foreigner, she went, but no, she went crazy. Says, what is foreigner doing here? It's against the law. Oh, she went, but I've never seen a woman going crazy this way. And she went back to the apartment in the building because everybody has his own apartment. And they made a beautiful dinner. And she refused to come down. And they reported it to the head of the nations that this general is refusing to eat with Mr. Cash. The rest of the generals are all on the table. And she was ordered to attend the dinner. She came in, and the whole dinner time she was rapping and raging, why do we eat with a foreigner? And the Chinese security and the general say, he's one of us. He's not an outsider. He is loyal to the Chinese structure, and we trust him because he's brought so much for us. And at the end, they had to bring a lot of tablets. She was getting a headache. They had to give her a medicine to stop the headache. She says, I cannot, this is against the law of China to have a foreigner with the generals on the table. We know too much, we do too much, but we do everything forward, straightforward. There are a number of pictures with me with the hats of the Chinese generals with their star hats on it, which is a criminal offense. when we meet Jesus, they become friends 2 or 3 years living there. So they give you their hats with the stars on it, with their uniform, and you're wearing a Chinese general hat. And they give it to you as a gift, you take it home. When I brought the first one to the hotel when I came, the first time, the Chinese could not believe. And they stole it. Actually, the Chinese knowledge seekers, they stole that first hat.
That could be an offense.
It's a gift.
And that's what I was saying, Mr. Kesh. If they had one scientist working, top scientist working on solving this issue, then they at least had 100 top scientists working on this issue, and they haven't been able to understand it. And you say,
no,
so simple.
It's part of it. It's not that they're not stupid. They understand the Iranian. They understand a piece of it, and they concentrate on that piece. It's not that they are absolutely useless. They actually work, even the Iranian. The Americans are bent backwards working research on Keshe Foundation.
Yeah.
The Russians are much. In Russian space, there's a heavy. Actually, I've been told there's a division actually works on the Keshe Foundation technology, because they're very close with tokamak and they understand it, but they still go that way, which doesn't work. But in general, it's part of the work. You got to, I mean, when you look at the enhancement unit, the body enhancement unit, if I add 2 pieces to it, it becomes a flying system. Not much. You just need 2 systems in it, and that's just that thing will fly. But we haven't created a creature for a test on the ground. It's the same with our system. That's why it's abnormal to do a flight test in the basement of a building. You usually need a rocket launch and a pad and everything else, runway and the rest of it. But then you have the knowledge of the creator. You work from anywhere, under the ground, in the oceans, all the same. This is one of the biggest shocks to a lot of people in the space technology, that we have chosen the basement room or the ground level room, fully concreted, to do a flight test. If you think of it, it's impossibility. People cannot even imagine. That's why they can't believe it can be done. This is the problem with the present time. As you said, they might take the rocket back in maybe a couple of months later to fix a valve. We go underground and we still travel the distance in the space.
It's hard to believe we're sitting here and listening to you tell us this. I mean, it's just, again, hopefully this makes it into the bigger picture so that everyone can share in this and not be fooled so much.
I'm traveling at the moment and we are busy with sorting a lot of things out. And I have to be in the center for the flight 2 days. And back on travels again, we're trying to establish a lot of things around the world, and gradually we see where we get. The opposition to the Keshe Foundation since we started the flight has skyrocketed. And I mean, we are not aware of it, but the opposition by governments has skyrocketed to take the Keshe Foundation off the network. You're not aware of what's going on, but governments are now see this as the biggest problem for them. And they're trying to find a solution to literally take explanation of the internet in the next few weeks.
I alluded to something like this because we played your small clip at the beginning of the last workshop where you said about teaching through the soul, not needing a laptop, not being connected to Zoom and so on and so forth. And I had the sense or the feeling that this could be what you were, a way to circumvent that situation.
They are the now we have governments literally piling up behind each other to make accusations and then try with the accusations to do what they did the Belgians. Now they're still at it, but now is gone. What we saw with Belgium is nothing to compare to what they're set up to do now. We got it in black and white. We know exactly what they're going to do. Trying to discredit him. So we don't sit and wait for it to do for them what do they want to do. We're doing our own way of doing things. And we shall see. If you thought the Belgians with those court cases were tricky, these the things that started in different fronts that's a child play compared to what is coming. Anyway, let's see what we can do and where we come in.
Delightful to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Join us from Tuesday, and you never know, we could be full of surprises.
You always are as a master magician and a master of disguise. So we thank you for all your work in the background that we're not even aware of, haven't even been shared with us, but yet you're working for a beautiful conclusion of this whole process.
We'll see. We'll see what comes out. We never know. Don't forget there was a series called The Tale of Unexpected. We're going to see what's on the tail. But we're expecting it. And see how things take shape. Anyway, join us from Tuesday, Wednesday, and see anyone you see on your Facebooks, on your whatever, to join in. On YouTube, we go live on all channels. People around the world can see the new flight system, and it'll be the first time done this week.
Is this going to be part of the One Planet, One Nation program, or would this be later in the day or earlier?
No, we have a 10 till 5 program in the it goes on our 10 to 5 program. We are not doing anything to, what do you call it, to change. We are going there to do. Wednesday we finish maybe 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, latest 3 o'clock. And we start at 10 in the morning. Then we open the operating room at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we go through the process. And it's a normal day, but instead of us being in there, now we bring you in to see it. Maybe during the time we are waiting for the people to go through the process of the flight or whatever they do, we keep on teaching, we keep on sharing knowledge, we keep on understanding more. And we'll see. We are there to bring the change, but maybe the change has to come much, much faster than we thought. Anyway, thank you very much. And try to get this promoted to as many people around the world to join us live and watch how man will fly in the future. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
from
you.
all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully we've gotten a little satisfaction about the work that's going on in the background. Again, he hasn't, I don't think the foundation has revealed much. They've shown us a few clips in public and only segments of those clips, I think. So there's a lot more activity going on at Linz than we're even fully aware of. Even some of the people that have gone through the system, I think, have been asked not to share in public, or as he said, they signed some sort of exclusive rights to the Kesh Foundation about their experience. So I guess they're not allowed to. But now we're going to have much, much more coming out little by little. Can't believe there's such opposition to such a beautiful technology for peace on the entire planet, and prosperity and feeding, and everyone, there'll be no one cold, going to bed hungry. So this is what we have to channel our emotions into for these world leaders. And I think Mr. Kesh may end up going on the soul level, because it sounds like it's such a threat to the established way of people thinking that they don't want to let the cat out of the bag, as they say, but it's coming out anyway. Anyone else want to add anything else? I will play the flight system that Marius had made in the final disclaimer. Here, of course, is where you would sign up for the flight system, as we all know. Let me put the other background screen up again. Thank you, Gianni. Thank you, Alex, Jalal, everyone who's shared today, Diane, and the rest. Anyone want to add any last words before we conclude this program for today? I know it's late in Europe. It's past 12:30. Thank you for all your communications on the soul level. Alex, any last words from yourself? Hopefully that this has lightened all of our hearts, although he did say that they're quite determined to stop the foundation, but you're working with the universal community, so man's knowledge is pretty low as far as stopping it. But as Mr. Kesh said, he'll just teach on the energy level through the soul. So thank you all for joining. Alex, any last words? I don't think you've departed. I see you here on two systems. If not, then anyone else who want to give an opportunity who'd like to say anything?
Yes, Mark, thank you.
Thank all of us. We're all part of it. I think we were meant to be here from the beginning.